Okay, good afternoon. I have with me today John.
Hi, Aline. How are you?
I'm good.
It's Aline, right?
Yeah,
Aline? Yeah,
yeah, John. That's a very common name. I cannot mispronounce that.
that's
S-
true.
But,
You could misspell it though. I get Jon as often as I get John.
oh,
But
really?
oh yeah, people.
I thought John was Jon was Jonathan.
Yeah, I agree. It is.
Okay.
But most people don't realize that. Most people don't know. They think it's just all the same, and so,
Okay.
and even a lot of mothers out there have named their kids Jon, not Jonathan, because they don't know any better.
Okay. So, John, you have a last name that also that people cannot forget. Boitnott. That's
Boitnott, yeah.
Boitnott
Yeah. It looks French, and there's probably some French
in it.
in the name, but most of my lineage is Irish. But there's probably some, definitely according to 23andMe.
Maybe you're mixed. You're mixed.
Yeah, I'm more of a mutt, but there's definitely a lot of Irish in there, and maybe some German and French,
Oh,
like
wow.
Alsace-Lorraine, that kind
Yeah,
of thing.
nobody is 100% purebred, right?
No, nobody.
Okay.
We're all 100% pure human.
Pure human. That's,
Yes.
okay. So
Or
that's,
maybe not even that. Maybe we have some Cro-Magnon in us, and
we
the
are
Neanderthal.
European. We are European, though, right?
Mm-hmm. I'm 1/4 Eastern European and 3/4 Western European.
Okay.
So I'm white, as all my other friends would say. I'm just white.
So maybe because of the wars and the mix of migrations and
Yes,
people intermarried.
definitely. Yeah, my mom's dad was a Jewish guy from it was an Ashkenazi Jew, so Eastern European.
Eastern European.
Yeah,
And then your dad was.
all Irish, or Irish, or some of the mix.
Oh, yeah,
His
yeah.
mom was straight from Ireland, but his dad was Irish, but had some of the mix in it.
There's definitely an attraction between these two tribes.
Yes, that's for sure. Eastern and Western European.
Yeah, they do have some attraction.
I'm Caucasian. I have to put Caucasian on all my job.
Interviews.
Yeah.
Do you? Now they don't ask Caucasian; they ask white or. Yeah.
Right. I'll sometimes see it as one of the options. So there'll be different options, and one will be Caucasian, and I know that that's the one I have to pick if I see that one.
Oh, Caucasian mean European?
It means people from the Caucasus.
Really?
Yeah. But usually over the years, it's kind of become synonymous in America with white.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Is what I've noticed.
I
Yeah.
didn't know what Caucasian meant.
Yeah.
Okay, now I know. Okay.
People from the Caucasus, the mountains
Okay,
there.
the Caucasus. Okay.
I think
the
maybe
mean-
that's where the genetics come from. I don't know.
The Caucasus. You mean in America? The Caucasus.
No, the
when-
Caucasus are a mountain range over near sort of the Caspian Sea, but still closer to Europe than that. Maybe like close to Russia always gets into trouble with the Caucasus. They fight wars against small countries there
Really?
that are part of Russia.
Wow.
Yeah, they spend a lot of their military budget on that.
Yeah.
They
Wow.
spend a lot of their budget on just like us. They're
Oh,
very
okay.
as a percentage of their military, they spend a lot of it on military. As a percentage of their budget, they spend a lot of their budget on military.
Okay. So aside from your roots, how did you become a journalist?
I've wanted to be a journalist ever since I was a little kid. Even when I was like 13, 12, 11 years old, I saw
You saw it?
I saw it on the news. I saw the TV anchors. I saw the TV reporters. I said, I want to do that. And when
You did all of it.
I did do all of it, yeah. It was something that I had to end up moving. I did it in Southern California, and I needed
Yeah.
to move to Northern California because of family, deaths in the family. I needed to be closer to my family.
So you came here.
So I came here. And I still continued to work with the TV stations, but I didn't have enough experience to be on air at the TV stations in San Francisco at the time.
Okay, but you worked in TV station Santa Barbara.
Yeah, in Santa Barbara, yeah.
Is it easier to get work there?
Uh,
And TV, I'm talking about.
It depends on the job you're going for. If it's on air, yes, it would be easier to get a job on air down there. But it's still very hard because Santa Barbara isn't considered the lowest on the totem pole. It's sort
Oh.
of middle. It's like 110, but there are like 200 markets in the U.S.
Okay.
So
Santa Barbara is a smaller market than San Francisco.
yeah, by a lot. San Francisco, the Bay Area has 7.5 million people. Santa Barbara had the demographic area of Santa Barbara, San Luis Obispo, and Ventura County just has probably about 1 million people.
Okay.
or
No,
maybe a
but San
million and a
Francisco
half.
has increased to 900,000 now.
I'm talking about the entire Bay Area. The population is close to 7.5 million people.
Million.
Yeah.
Oh, million. Okay, okay.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
if you work for a big station.
Well, yeah. I mean, in the San Francisco Bay Area, with its 7.5 million people, is probably the sixth or the fifth biggest market in the United
Really?
States.
Really? Oh, wow.
Behind Houston, Chicago, L.A., New York, and then probably either Boston or Dallas. So it's either five or six or
Five or
seven.
six. Have you ever worked for a major network?
I've No, I have not worked for the network. I've worked for stations that were owned by the network.
By the network, okay.
Yeah.
All right, just like here, we owned by Comcast.
Yes.
I mean, we are under Comcast umbrella.
NBC is now owned by Comcast too. I worked for NBC when it was owned by General Electric, the aircraft engine and washing machine company, making company.
Okay.
The really large corporation. 5% of all the revenue was NBC. They owned NBC. It was a little tiny thing to them.
Okay.
So they sold it to Comcast.
Okay, so thanks to Comcast, we're here today.
Yeah, right. I
right.
switched away from Comcast for my cable.
It's too expensive.
Yeah. So I'm going with YouTube. They have a cable. It's $35 to $40 a month.
Really? And you can access everything, CNN and Fox?
They have all of that. Yeah.
They do, okay.
You have to pay for the premium channels like HBO or Showtime. Those kind of. You pay 15 more for that.
Okay,
And
but you can access most everything?
You can access most everything. Yeah.
I didn't know that, so now I have to look into it.
They're
I know
just
I'm
starting it.
off. That's just I know I'm offered commercial-free YouTube, but I never saw to buy cable from YouTube. This is new.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is. It's a newer thing. It's less than a year old, but they're just starting to really expand it a whole heck of a lot.
But they don't. Each time I watch YouTube, ask me to subscribe.
They are pretty good at asking you to subscribe. So you haven't seen an ad for it yet or anything like that?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they push ads. They're
do
starting to
push
push
it?
ads more out. Yeah.
Okay.
It's they're just really getting going.
Oh,
It's
wow.
a decent service. It works pretty well. Sometimes there are some kinks they have to get out, but
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what I noticed talking about YouTube that you mentioned?
Yeah.
Is some people on YouTube have more views than on the network, CNN or
oh sure,
CNBC.
yeah.
So it's not really anymore the big networks that are getting the top views.
Not always, no. But they still do rank pretty highly, most of them. But there are the thing about YouTube and people who have their own channel on YouTube
Yeah.
is they've been building up a following for a long period of time.
So they have subscribers.
And they have people who trust them. And as we know nowadays, there's a little bit of a trust issue with networks. A lot of
Oh.
people doubt whether or not they believe
The
CNN or
views
Fox News or you
the
name
views,
it. Yeah.
or if they are for the right or the left or of the news.
Yeah. Well,
And-
it depends on what your. Everyone varies, right? Some people lean more towards Fox News. Some people really enjoy MSNBC. Some people really like CNN.
Depend of the anchors.
That's a big factor too. Yeah.
Yeah. So but since you are business, you are CNBC.
No. I write for Inc. and Entrepreneur actually, which are two magazines that have popular websites.
Yeah. And are they in one of the networks? No.
No, they're not in one of the networks. They're their own business. I think Entrepreneur is based out of Southern California in Orange County.
Okay.
But their editorial is in New York, so I talk with their editorial in New York.
And they have their own channel.
They do have shows that they're producing and things of that nature, but primarily it's a magazine and also a website that's very popular.
Okay, so when you write an article for them, do you also put it in the form of a video?
No, I don't. Although I should probably do that. I want to do that more because the future is video.
How about a podcast? Do you have a podcast?
I don't have a podcast. I have a couple different friends who I've done podcasts with,
Yeah.
or I'm currently
It's a
doing
lot of
podcasts
work,
with.
huh? It's a lot of
It's
work.
a little too much work. I find that after a busy, long day of interacting with a lot of people and going to meetings and things like that, I
You
don't
have
have
no
the
more time to do the podcast.
energy. I don't have the energy to do the podcast. I imagine that once you learn how to do it, it's pretty
It's easy, yeah.
But I haven't gotten to that point yet, and no one's taught me yet. And I haven't
So
gone to the trouble of
basically-
teaching myself either.
Yeah. So basically, you can do one form, like a video, and then there's a program that will transfer it to an audio or
transcribe it.
print.
Oh, okay.
So you have to do only one,
Oh, okay.
and it's either transcribed to print or to audio.
And this is a service that exists.
Yeah, it's a service that exists, a software. Anyway, there are many softwares.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
I know it's even YouTube is Facebook is moving into videos more than images anymore. I mean, no.
Yeah, Facebook's pretty good about getting you sort of trapped in a hamster wheel of endless video content. Yeah, I've noticed that.
Yeah.
You watch a video and then they'll just put a bunch of videos after it and you kind of keep going.
keep
kind
going.
of it's kind of like
You never
YouTube a
stop.
little.
Yeah. It leads one video leads to another.
Yeah, sometimes I'll find myself 3-4 videos later still going, wondering how I got there because you just sort of,
They just feed it. They feed it after the last video.
exactly, yeah.
All right, so let's talk about you. So you started pretty young since you were interested since you were 11.
Yeah, I started in college. I had my first internship in Santa Barbara. I went to UC Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
I started my internship at the local ABC TV station there.
Yeah.
I did a lot of different things for them. I started to write, and then I worked for the radio station that they owned. So I did a lot of work at their radio station, writing, producing, board operator, creating commercials, filling in for people on
Did you
their
ever go in
shows.
front of the mic?
Yeah.
Oh, you did all.
Mm-hmm.
You
I
did it all. Okay.
And then I eventually anchored the afternoon news for that radio station.
So wrote and deliver.
Mm-hmm. And eventually I got a job working part-time as a reporter for the TV station.
Okay.
I also produced TV news shows. I did all that stuff.
So when you work for someone, you don't write what you want. But when you work for yourself, you do write what you want, correct?
You still do write. As a producer for a show, you decide what you're going to cover. And if you are the producer of the show, then you have the lead voice in determining what is going to be on the show.
Okay.
However, there's the anchor. The anchor person might have an opinion about what needs to be covered. The news director might have an opinion about what needs to be covered. The assistant news director might have. A lot of people have opinions about what you should cover, and so everything is done kind of collaboratively.
Okay.
You end up as the producer. You and maybe if you have an assistant producer, you write all the individual scripts for
the stories.
For the stories, or tossing into the stories which are written by a reporter, or tossing into the break, teasing the next things that are going to come up in the next segment, all that stuff. You may write yourself, or you can have writers who are assigned. In the bigger stations here in San Francisco Bay Area, they have writers who will write the various stories for you, and you just make sure that all the stories get written, all the scripts get printed out, and sent to the anchor in time for them to be able to check it out before they go live on the air.
Yeah, but as
It's a complicated process.
a print journalist,
Yes.
you decide the topics.
Oftentimes, it's a collaborative process again.
It's also.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So what I currently do is I send my story ideas into the editor, run it by the editor, and they approve it.
Oh,
and they
okay.
say, okay, well, why are we covering this today?
Yeah. Is there
that's
something
interesting.
going on?
Yeah. Is it? Why are we doing about mental health for entrepreneurs? Because in May it's National Mental Health Awareness Month. That kind of thing.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that they always care about is why are we doing this now? Why now? Why not in the future? Why not
Well,
before?
if there's an interest for it now.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Okay, and so when we get toward the election, what's your take on that? You take a position or you just
I don't take
neutral?
a position. No,
You're totally neutral.
I talk about things related to entrepreneurship, marketing, leadership, those kinds of things tied to the election or politics. So a good thing might be, what did Trump do right with his social media campaigns that caused him to be so popular, and what can entrepreneurs learn from that?
Oh, okay.
So that would be a story. What can
Twitter
entrepreneurs-
is number one with Trump.
Yeah, he loves that thing. Oh my
Okay,
God.
so you do write with the impact of Twitter on people?
I haven't written a story specifically about that, no, but a lot of people have who are similar to me, and that is a potential story. That's one of those things where it would be a recurring type of thing where, because he does so many things for so long on Twitter that have affected people, to just do a general story about that is not necessarily newsworthy. What would be the latest thing about that we could peg a story to would be...
Oh, a story like now. He says a national emergency on Twitter.
Yeah, right. Well, he did do that, but he also went in front of the microphone in the Rose Garden at the White House and gave a 20-minute rambling speech that made no sense.
Yeah.
That was more of a story. It wasn't so much about the...
But that's
about
not the thing you're going to comment on.
No. I mean, I think it's important to take a look at different times in the past when, say, if it's a story about Twitter, when Twitter has had an effect on people's buying habits or led to the success of a company in some way. If you can prove that and show that because there's evidence that exists, then you and a story hasn't been done about it yet, then you can write a story about that so that people have that information and can appreciate those new facts that they've never seen before.
Yeah, like for the electric car what's
Elon
his name?
Musk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has like 128 million followers on Twitter.
He's fantastic. So actually, I did include him in a story recently that hasn't gone live yet. No, hasn't gone live yet. So one thing that he's very good at. Last year, I found a tweet where he interacted with a woman who was saying, "Hey, you should fix X, Y, and Z, or
In
you
the
should
car.
change in the car X, Y, and Z because there's an issue here." And he said, "Oh, you're right. We're going to change that going forward." And so
Okay.
he has a very immediate interaction with people. He's monitoring and listening very closely and finding the comments from people that are really relevant to what he cares about at the time. And he's making changes based on that, which is really modern, good usage of social media, I think.
So he at least spends an hour on Twitter every day. I mean, he is so active in it. But
It's not one of those things where you compartmentalize it and only spend an hour. It's one of those things where it's open all the time.
yeah,
And you are constantly
and
letting
you catch the comments.
Yeah, and I think that's what Twitter does too. I think that there are certain types of people who really gravitate towards, and there's a lot of them. There's several million of these people who love Twitter this way. They always have it open. It's one of the quickest, easiest ways to get a hold of them. If you want to talk to them, you DM them. You could try texting them, but they won't get back to you. They might not. They ignore their phone. They would spend more time on Twitter and would interact with other people. That's where their friends are. That's where their people who they want to talk to are, is on Twitter. This is Trump. This is Elon Musk. This is a friend of mine named Adam who used to work at Google. Now he works for a biotech.
He has millions of followers.
No, he has 20, 30,000 followers, but it's a very active interaction. A lot of back and forth, a lot of retweets, a lot of comments, and he's talking right back to them all the time. And he has 2 or 3 tweets every hour for 10 hours a day.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Oh my
yeah.
God. And
They live on Twitter. This is the way that they
get the feed on their phone.
Yeah, or a computer while they're working. They have the tweet deck open or the Hootsuite open, and they're interacting with people that way. This is an entire class of people who Twitter is one of the main ways that they interact with the world. One or two, the top 3 ways they interact with the world. They like it better than their phone. They like it better than anything else, practically.
They get hooked.
Yeah, they love it. They love it.
So, are you going to mention in your article that Elon Musk is going to have a electrical truck in 2020?
Well, so many people have written about that it's not. There's one person at Inc. named Justin Bariso, and all
He wrote about it?
he writes about Elon Musk only.
Oh.
He writes about things that Elon Musk does that are emotionally intelligent or not emotionally intelligent, because sometimes Elon Musk is not very sensitive and not very empathetic, but sometimes he's very empathetic and sometimes he's very sensitive to people. So he's an odd guy. But
an electric truck will affect business a lot, no?
Sure. Yes, it will definitely affect business a lot.
Business won't have to buy gasoline to carry their goods and service.
And there are many electric trucks that are already coming out, and it's going to change. It's a good thing. It's going to hopefully destroy oil over the next several years. But
it'll probably be more economical, you think?
Yeah, it'll be better for the environment.
That too.
Yeah.
Yes,
The Earth is absolutely reeling from environmental damage everywhere by us, without question, scientifically proven.
So an electrical truck will help.
It will help make a dent in helping to solve the problem.
Okay.
A lot of it is cows, pastures, cows in pastures, us eating cows, because of the methane that they fart out.
Oh, okay.
And that's actually supposedly a much bigger problem than cars.
You don't write about that, though.
No, not unless there's some sort of business around it.
So you like tech?
I do like tech. Yeah.
So a good tech story would be what?
A good tech. Well, so mainly I write about entrepreneurship and leadership, not so much about tech.
Oh, I see.
Tech is a part of that.
Okay.
You can't have a business nowadays with some level of tech.
Oh yeah.
I write
a lot
about
of business are online.
Yeah, I write about. What do I write about? I write about.
Do you write about specific CEOs?
Sometimes, yeah, I have written articles. So a lot of times, what I'm supposed to write has to do with how much page views you bring in.
Okay.
So one type of story that does pretty well are CEOs that are great because of X. And so I have written a few stories in the past about this CEO, that CEO, and that CEO, and 3 great things that they did that entrepreneurs can learn from if they just take a look. That kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
So most of the stories that I'm writing are targeted to entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs would read that and get insight into what other more successful entrepreneurs are doing so that they can be better too.
Okay.
That's the typical story that I write.
So you kind of want to attract a readership, a readership of entrepreneurs who want to improve themselves.
Yes, definitely, because it's kind of been shown that that is the type of content. It is one of the types of content that is really popular out there. That
And
people
get
will
you
click on.
followers.
Sure, yeah, and that's a tough thing that takes a long time to build. I mean, over the last 10, 15 years that Twitter's been around, I've built up more than 100,000 followers.
Wow,
And,
that's
yeah.
good. That's good. Do you do a lot of advertising on Facebook to get followers?
I don't do it to get followers. I do it to get clicks onto the
article?
The article, yeah.
Okay.
Getting followers is a thing that you can try to have Facebook do, but I've not found it to be terribly effective in
It's
really
expensive.
building a following.
It's
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and that's why it's not effective, is because it's not cost effective.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Yeah, you gotta spend like $10 a day to get maybe 1 or 2 subscribers extra.
Something along those lines. Yeah, I think that also Facebook, surprisingly enough, is less liked than it used to be over the last year or two. I think it's become much more maligned, and a lot of people are less happy about its behavior that resulted in manipulation, possibly of the last elections we had.
Oh, I see.
There's also the whole entire underlying idea that the more time you spend looking at the feeds of other people and what they're doing, the worse you feel about yourself. Yeah, scientific studies are showing that there is an effect from social media in general, but a lot of it
On the way
Facebook,
you feel?
on the way that you feel from constantly being exposed to all
The
people,
best of the best.
the best of the best all the time. See, we're
So
all
you say
familiar
I'm
with
not.
this.
So you say I'm not as good.
Exactly. Somewhere in your mind, you're saying, "I'll never be that good," and you participate by showing the best of you. You participate. You know, not you, but anyone.
You watch people who are successful. You say, how come I'm not?
Yeah, yeah. What do I need to do to compete? And so when you're constantly living in a situation like that, it's been shown that you're less happy because you're constantly having to compete with other people, and that's not really what we're put here to do.
Yeah. We are
You know?
competing only with ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. That's the best way to think about it.
Yeah.
All
I
with
mean,
yourselves.
why compare yourself to someone else when you're unique?
Yeah, I think that, Zuckerberg wanted to move fast and break things, and
Yeah.
he ended up breaking quite a few things, including confidence in his own company eventually.
Well, they totally rearranged the whole thing now.
Yeah.
They show you things that you like to watch more,
Mm-hmm.
and they remove the ads you don't want to watch.
Yep.
And it's all controlled. I don't know how they control it, but they know what you like by what you share, and they know when you click on like, and they give you more of that.
They keep you in your own little bubble.
They do. They want you to like what you like.
Yeah, exactly.
to stay on Facebook.
Hey, they're more than happy to show you different stuff. If you start to consistently, that's how sophisticated they are. If you start to consistently change what you watch,
They will.
then they'll go along with you.
Yeah.
Because they don't mind. They'll just serve up ads that correspond to the new stuff that you like.
Oh, wow.
They're sort of this ad building based on the data that you give them. You are the product. You are delivering them data.
So when you work, let's say, for the insider or the entrepreneur,
Yeah.
are you allowed to take that article that they own and put it on your wall?
After a couple weeks, yeah.
Oh, but they have
and
the
link
first
back to
right.
them. They have the first
first right.
They technically own the content, but any site can actually take the article and put it on their own site, but then they have to link back to the original. That's all. That's all they
that's the
ask for,
rule.
yeah.
That's the rule, to link back to the insider.
Yeah, I don't write for Business. I did write for Business Insider for a couple of years. I don't currently write for them anymore. I write for Inc. and Entrepreneur.
Inc.
Yeah.
Inc. So
It's
Inc.
okay.
Specialize in what?
Pretty similar to Entrepreneur. I write
Yeah.
about more or less the same things between the two of them.
It's also-
Entrepreneurship, leadership, productivity, how to everything from raise funds for your company to market better.
Yeah.
How to grow your company better. Yeah.
Yeah. So writing about all these wonderful topics, did you become yourself a successful multimillionaire?
No. I mean, I did.
You could.
At a couple times in my life,
You
have
have-
made a good amount of money, and I have a retirement account, which thank God I have.
Yeah.
And
No, I mean, did that make you yourself a better entrepreneur?
in order to be an entrepreneur, you have to go be an entrepreneur, and you don't have to write about it so much. I do have my own company, and I do pretty well with my own company, where I help companies write content for their blogs.
Okay.
And they need that service, so they pay for that service.
Okay.
I do white papers, I do ebooks, I do a lot of different things that different people
For
need.
other
different
people.
For other people, yeah.
So your business is based on the base is that you are able to write.
Yes, yeah. And edit as well. because oftentimes there
They
will
give
be.
you an article and they tell you fix it.
Oh, sure. Yeah, exactly.
Oh wow.
So it's a lot of writing, and it's great. Sometimes, although I write all my own stuff for Inc. and Entrepreneur, I work for other companies. In the work that I do for the other companies, oftentimes I will have writers who I know, and then I will have them write it, and then I will fix it, maybe change it up. Sometimes it
And
doesn't.
send it to your client.
And send it to the clients. Yeah. So that's a copywriting service that my
D-
consulting firm
so
provides.
you write for two magazines
Inc. and
for
Entrepreneur.
private clients,
Yes.
and that keeps you up all night.
No. It doesn't
No?
keep me. I'm usually pretty able to keep it under 6-7
Control?
hours a day. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you able to say at one time in the day that's enough?
I have a couple different schedules of work. I have 9 a.m. to noon. Then I have lunch, and then I have 1 to 3,
Yeah.
and then I have 4 to 5. So those are the hours that I usually work. Although sometimes I will work outside of those hours depending on what's going on.
And then you network after that.
I do. I have a couple different events that I go to each week. Although I'm going to be doing real estate classes.
Oh wow.
In a few weeks.
That's
so
a different ball game.
different ball game, but it could be a good
Teach it or learn.
learn it. Become
Oh.
an agent, a real estate agent,
Oh, you
advises,
become,
or commercial real estate.
Okay, so that's gonna take your focus toward
That. I'm pretty confident I can do my writing work that I'm doing now and also do that at the same time and see which one develops more and I enjoy more and then possibly let one take over the other.
Now, if you take a class in real estate and you find out you don't like it,
Then I'll just move on to the next thing.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's just a new try.
Mm-hmm.
It's a new try.
I've always enjoyed houses. I've always enjoyed commercial properties. I've always enjoyed learning about them. I've always enjoyed investing. So in a way, it comes down to a business and creating more passive revenue streams.
Yeah, but I heard
the
now
future.
you don't need a license anymore. You can buy and sell without a license.
Of like Redfin, that kind of
like
thing. Or?
like you buy wholesale, resell, retail, and make a profit real quick within 90 days, and then you don't need a license for that. You just buy and sell to investors.
I'm not looking into buying it. I'm looking into selling it as an agent for.
Oh, as a rep of a.
Yeah, real estate agent. Yeah.
Oh, that's a different thing. Okay,
Yeah.
then you have to build relationships.
Yeah. You do not need a license to buy real estate, yeah.
You do not need to buy and sell. You do need to represent someone.
You're representing somebody who's buying it,
Right.
or representing somebody who's selling it too.
Okay. So, but there's a lot of competition there, even more than writers, right?
I don't know about that. I know that they're both pretty competition filled. If I go and I do it and I find I don't like it, well, at least I've gotten.
You have tried.
I've tried it,
Yeah.
and so we'll see. It's just something I want to explore, and
Okay, that's a good idea. Yeah.
yep,
Yeah, and
we'll see how it goes.
But the writing is ingrained in you now.
What do you mean by ingrained? It is
That
something
mean, can you write an article with your eyes closed, and or you have to do research first?
Research is pretty important. It's always good to have research in a story. For both Inc. and Entrepreneur, they do like to see research in the story. They like
Okay.
to have it be based on some factual stuff. They also
Okay.
like to have
So
prior
there's-
articles.
It's not just writing.
It's not just writing. Yeah.
You have to have some references and who said what and what.
Sure. Yep.
It's things
Mm-hmm.
like that, and then you make a story out of it.
Well, yeah. You don't necessarily make a story out of that, but you use that to facilitate the story, to help make the story more beefy. You know.
So after all these years, you know what people like.
I think so. Yeah, more or less. I deliver a pretty good blog
I mean,
post.
in terms of content, if your company says, Inc. says, write an article about that, and you say, no, my experience is nobody's going to read about that.
They know me pretty well to know what they can assign me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they might know based on what I've written before and my specialties in the past. They know that if a certain story comes down the line, they can just send it over to me and say, hey, can you have this done by a day or two from now? So I usually say, yeah, sure.
Oh, okay. And then if CNBC call you and say, can you write an article on that topic, you can just be an independent contractor.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I have clients. One client came to me today and said, I have all this data. Can you please make
A story out of it?
or not a story, but can you make a one-page white paper out of it? And I said, okay, sure, yeah.
Okay,
and
so
they
you
give me a couple days to do-
you
yeah.
restructure the whole thing?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. So you have
Yeah.
to have a pretty good analytical mind to kind of take data and turn it into a readable product.
Yeah, totally. To take yeah, that's a good way to put it. But also to take something that is sort of not necessarily all that interesting, the data, and turn it into something that is conversational, that might get people interested in the subject because it's more accessible.
Okay. I don't know if you wrote about that topic, but is it true that some people like to read, some like to listen, and some like to watch? And
Uh,
for those people who
that
find it
sounds true to me.
very tiring to read,
Yeah.
it would be maybe for those who like to just listen
Hmm.
on their way to work.
Yeah.
Do you can do a transcript, right?
I mean, I'm sure that's possible. I don't know any information about how to make that happen. I would love to. There was one startup that I worked with for a couple years where they had a program where you could take your story that you wrote
Yeah.
and then you could speak it into the microphone and then they would have a recording of it and they would put it with all the other recordings of all these other stories. They went under and somebody bought them and then they got sold and all the work that I had done in voicing my stories for a couple years was gone.
Oh no.
Yeah, so that is
Better to do your own then.
yeah, I could do that. I could do that. I'm not a software engineer though. What they had was an app that lets you listen to things by categories, by authors, by
Oh my
publications, all this
goodness.
different stuff. Yeah,
And they went under.
they went under. Yeah.
Okay.
So
So
I
it's
could.
something to look into.
Yes, I would love to. I don't quite have the time to do it though. I would love to do some version of that, but I would need help from somebody because and maybe I could. Maybe there's a class somewhere where I could learn that, but I don't know where that's at.
Mm. And
So.
suppose you have a story and you think it's a good story, so you would need someone to interview you to talk about that story and make it in the form of a video to make it interactive.
Sure. Yeah, I mean that's fine. If there was somebody out there who did that kind of thing, the thing about life here is that people aren't willing to do that unless they have some way to make money off of it.
Oh yeah, yeah. So
And
you
so
got to have some advertisers for it.
sure, sure. I don't know if even money from advertisers would ever be enough to make it viable.
Oh really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So you can also be in front of your video webcam,
I would love that. I would love to do that.
and you don't have
Yeah.
to pay anyone.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there are certain websites where you can do a video of a story and then post it, and there's even one site called Steam It where you can make money. People will donate to you in cryptocurrency
Wow.
for your content, but usually
Really?
but it's a very small amount of money. It's cents. You know.
Sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not very much money at all.
Okay.
There might be a few people here and there who have really large followings and they make more money to
You
know,
got to invest tons of money in advertising.
tons of money and time. Well, advertising doesn't necessarily.
I mean, social media to get your word out there.
Right, and even that, a lot of times you're just yelling into the wind. You're yelling into noise. There's no way to get the signal above the noise.
Oh.
People don't have enough time to pay attention to every little thing on their feed.
Okay,
That's part of the issue
Do
there.
you spend time on Twitter yourself?
A little bit, not too much. I tweet 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day. That's it.
Yes.
It takes up a lot of energy to go do it.
Oh
know?
yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta have a little. I just came up with a new article I'm gonna talk about.
I mean, I could do that, I suppose, yeah. But I haven't thought to do that
Okay.
in the
Okay.
past.
Yeah.
I don't
was-
think it's a bad idea.
Let me ask you a question. If Twitter gets so much tweets and Facebook is, let's say, not as interactive, why is Facebook's stock higher than Twitter?
I don't think that either company is really viable, and I don't think that either company is really going to last a very long time.
Why?
Because they don't do anything that makes any money.
Except advertising.
Yeah, and I think that people are so fickle that won't last for terribly long. It'll probably last another 5, 10 years, and I think that they'll.
What is going to take its
I don't know.
place?
I
Oh, you don't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
So
Things are
Twitter,
changing too
Twitter
quick.
and Facebook might be on their way out.
I hope so. Yeah, because I don't think that they're healthy. I think that they've destroyed discourse in the country, and they've created egomaniacs, And so there's goods and there's bads, right?
But as long as people use it, then it will stay alive.
People still listen to the radio. People
Yeah.
still watch TV.
Yeah, but if they
People
want
still
to
read
post a
magazines.
picture of their newborn, they cannot do that on the radio.
They can do it. There will be something where they can do it.
Oh, there will be another.
Though what I'm trying to say is they will still be able. I know that they can't do it on the radio, but what I'm saying is Twitter will still exist like the radio still exists. Twitter will still exist like TV still exists. It will still it will do things for people that they need the way that radio still does things for people that they need for out of radio
Oh, they all
that
have
only
a
radio
purpose.
can deliver. Yeah,
They
they all
all-
have a purpose. Yeah, there might be what I think will happen is something will come along. Hopefully, that but I don't know. Who knows that will see to the needs of another large group of people that Twitter can't.
Do you
deliver.
have any data if people spend more time on Facebook than on Twitter? I think it's more
people
Facebook.
Yeah, it's more Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why they are more valued, because people can watch more ads.
Right. And they are gaining new users by the
Every
tens
day.
of thousands every day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is not the case with Twitter.
I'm not sure what the case. I haven't looked at what's going on with Twitter lately. I think that Twitter is growing a lot more slowly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you could do an article to compare the two.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly. I would have to look into a lot. I'd have to think about what the point of the article would be, what the headline would be,
Oh,
and
okay.
then figure out whether or not that would be
No,
something
the
people are
headline
interested
would
in.
be, why is the value of Facebook 5 times higher than Twitter? Twitter is 33, Facebook is 160, 170. So there must be a reason.
Okay, I'd have to. I don't know off the top of my head. I'd have to go do
I'm
the
talking the
research.
price per share. The price
The
per
price
share.
Yeah, I don't know the price per share. So
share.
I would have to go look.
Okay, the price per share is like 6 times more for Facebook. So
Right.
there must be more traffic.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would do a Google search to see if somebody hasn't written about that already.
Okay.
So you
Because
should
you
check
s-
that.
But
Because this is something you're interested in.
No, I mean, maybe I should look into it.
All I'm saying is you should do a Google search to see, because maybe you'll get some answers that you're clearly looking for, because maybe someone has written about it.
No, because when I see the news, I see Trump tweet this or this tweet.
Right.
So there's more news about Twitter than you never read
Well,
Trump
it's not
put
news.
something
It's
on.
not news about Twitter. It's a news about Trump, and it just so happens that Trump
He
uses a certain thing
But he
that
doesn't
he
use-
likes more
but he
to get
does-
his information out.
Right, but he
Yeah.
doesn't. We never hear someone posted this on Facebook. We never hear that, except
Once in a great while, yeah.
yeah,
Once
well,
in a great
except the kid.
because
who,
Twitter's more immediate. Twitter allows you to sit on your toilet and do the tweeting at 3 a.m. like Trump likes to do
yeah,
immediately.
okay,
And it's very simple. It's 140 characters. It doesn't require you to.
to think.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a little bit more that goes on with
It's-
Facebook. You have friends who see it. Not everyone sees your people have privacy settings. Oftentimes
okay.
they do on Twitter too.
That's
but
true,
Most
that's
people are
true.
just public on Twitter and they let everything go out to anybody.
Okay,
But
got
on
it.
Facebook, like you might just have your family friends able
Like
to see
one
something.
or two people watch what you say.
Yeah. Whereas on Twitter, there's a potential for, especially with someone who has a huge Twitter account with 1 million followers or something along those lines. I think Trump has 50 million followers, but it's an immediate thing. All the information immediately out to them. He doesn't have to go to a network. He doesn't have to talk to a middleman. He just opens up his computer and does
And
that.
50 million people read it.
Yeah, and I mean Twitter is viable for that type of communication, and but whether or not it's actually delivering to its shareholders a long-term
Or
growth.
electoral people who gonna elect him or whatever.
Right. But whether or not Twitter's delivering to its shareholders money, whether it's an actual good investment, I tend to doubt that.
Okay.
Whether it's going to last 5, 10, 15 more years, and then after that, what's going to happen, I mean, I think it's one of those things where you want to try to get a more stable company to invest in. One that
Okay.
isn't the success of which isn't based on whether or not the president is using it.
Okay. But he's like the free advertisement for Twitter.
It's definitely a free, but what Twitter really is it's a platform that everyone has access to. It should be sort of a public domain that everyone has access to be able to use this type of thing. But instead, it's a company, and
You know,
yeah,
when Trump became president, I thought, oh, Twitter stock is going to go through the roof because
right,
that's all they talk about on the news.
right,
But
right.
it didn't. Instead, they went half down,
Well, the fundamentals of the company are that it's not really,
making money.
yeah, it doesn't really make money. It's
Okay.
not. It's not a thing that can make money,
Okay.
all that much money.
Okay.
There's this
It's-
little advertising you can buy, but what does that deliver? Everyone knows it doesn't really deliver anything because nobody really wants to spend much time on
it.
Twitter. They might do a
Exact-
little bit here and there, but the vast majority of people have no reach. They have no way to actually get to other people, and everyone has so many other things going on in their life that they don't want to spend so much time on Twitter that it would take for them to get good and get a bigger following.
and watch the ads. But
Yeah.
for Inc. and entrepreneur, people can stay on an ad while they read your article.
Yes. Well, there every time you open up an article, there's ads on that are
On the
automatically
side.
loaded on the side. Yeah.
Whether it's online or printed.
Printed, there are ads that have been paid for that are in the magazine that are there. Yes.
And it's more justifiable expense for the advertiser.
Uh, it depends. So there are different types of people who like ads in
Print?
in print, and there are different types of people who prefer to, in their lunchtime, go to a site like Inc. or Entrepreneur or Business Insider or
see it,
CNBC,
and see it.
and yeah, and it's rare that there are actually click through on the ads, and that's why those ads are pretty cheap. But in some cases, depending on the site that you're talking about, you might be able to charge a little bit more, but really
Okay.
not that much more.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
So
yeah.
you're not in charge of finding your advertisers. They do
No,
that.
no, they do that. Yeah, they have sales
Oh,
team to do
sales
that.
team. Have you done sales?
I've done sales in the past. I've sold infographics. I've sold SEO. I've sold content marketing. I've sold social media services.
So you
in
know
the
also
past.
what's behind the scene for you.
Sure. Yeah. And that type of stuff isn't very enjoyable to me. So I have ended up moving more
Back
towards
to writing.
back towards being a journalist. Yeah. And that's what I try and stick with most of the time now.
So what's the big news story coming out?
Oh boy, the big news story coming out.
You don't cover the election. You don't cover Kamala Harris or Bernie Sanders or.
I could. I would. For instance, maybe Bernie Sanders did something on social media in the announcement for his presidency candidacy that I could maybe write about as a way to show the entrepreneurs, hey, look at this cool thing that he did. You can emulate it as well. That kind of a thing.
Okay.
That, I mean, again, the types of articles
You
that
have to tie it to an entrepreneurship.
Yeah, tie it to how an entrepreneur can run the business better, market the business better, grow the business better, get their own work-life balance, how they can be mentally happier, how they can be a better leader. All that kind of stuff is important.
Yeah. So you
For me to
look
write
at
about.
what they do a little bit.
Yes. I mean, I have not had a chance to really look at the headlines today, but I am generally pretty caught up on most of the things that are going on in the country, whether it's political or business. Yeah.
If Joe Biden and Bernie ran, who do you think would win? Just like off the top of your head.
I think Bernie would.
Yeah.
I think Bernie would. Yeah, I think that he would reach a bigger, more enthusiastic crowd. There would be a lot of overlap. I think that Joe Biden would get more of sort of traditional and older crowd, still probably pretty robust. But the thing to remember about Joe Biden is he's run for president a couple of times before.
And he didn't make it.
Yeah, once in the 1980s, and no one really cared, and then once 8 years ago,
Yeah.
and he didn't even get far at all.
Okay.
He's a good guy. I really like him. I'll always like him, but I don't
But
think
he didn't get traction.
I think he would have a tough time getting traction the same way George
Jeb
Bush
Jeb.
couldn't
Oh,
get
yeah.
traction.
Yeah.
I think that Bernie Sanders really speaks to what
From the heart, yeah.
more from the heart and more from what younger Americans, millennials, and progressives really want out of this country nowadays.
Oh, good.
And even
good.
some Trump voters.
Oh.
Because remember, there is the Venn diagram, Venn diagram, over Trump and Bernie. There's some similarity with some people who liked Bernie. They were so mad that Bernie lost to Hillary that they went and voted for Trump. So
Wow.
that was a big thing, yeah.
Oh my Yeah.
I don't know the exact details or percentages or numbers, but I know that was. I remember hearing about that and reading about that a couple years back before the elections or after the election.
Because whoever is elected will influence the economy,
Of course, yeah, without question.
the
Yeah.
healthcare, the
I think
spending on arms and military.
relations with other countries, interaction with the whole world. Really, I mean, America is still the world's leader, more or less.
So it will have an impact on entrepreneurs.
Oh yeah, without question. And Trump has had a huge impact on entrepreneurs too. He's had a huge impact
Does
on
he help them a lot?
I don't think he hurts them. I think that in general, the way the federal government is set up, it's not always geared towards helping small business owners as well as it could. It doesn't deliver loans as easily as it could. So I think that Trump could be better in terms of opening up government to be able to help small-time entrepreneurs more. I think Trump is much more focused on big companies.
Big corporations, right?
Yeah, big
Giving
corporations.
them tax breaks.
Giving them tax breaks, which doesn't help the little guy. And so that's
we
why...
We never hear about the small guy.
No, yeah. I think that Bernie would be much better than that and would open it up. He would raise the income tax for high net worth individuals. Companies would not be getting tax breaks the way they do as much. And I think it would be good for the country and the world.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So are you? Do you consider yourself a solopreneur? You are an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I'm an entrepreneur. I have my own consultancy. So yeah, I'm an entrepreneur. I work with companies to deliver what they need and what they want. And
what would it take for you to go and have like 100 people company?
I don't know if I would be happy doing that, so I haven't done that.
Oh, okay. So you're not looking...
I would need a couple partners. I would need to hire 3 or 4 assistants, and then various people in different sort of departments.
Salespeople.
Yeah, salespeople, people who would execute a lot of the things that I'm in charge of.
And a lot of journalists.
It would be writers. It would be writers.
A lot of writers.
It would be people who would write the stories for different companies that need content for their blogs or content for their PR campaigns or that kind of thing.
It would be maybe more stress for you or something.
It might be more stress. I'm not closed off to the idea. I know other people who have businesses like that, so I could, sometimes
like a news feed, like a news company.
That kind of thing. Yeah, I've had friends who wanted to do something like that before. I think that would be a little too much stress for me to want to tackle. It's sort of the thing that I've found about news, and one of the reasons why I don't work in news anymore is because it's never ending. It never stops. You're always working. Even when you're at home, you're looking at the phone like this.
What's the news?
Yeah, what's the news? What's going on? You're always making news decisions. Your sleep isn't that great. You're stressed out. You're worried about ratings.
So you write a topic. You write about a topic.
I'd rather do what I'm doing because there isn't a pressure from above to get the highest ratings all the time. And if you don't get the highest ratings, then you're fired.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. It's very cutthroat.
I didn't know that. Okay, so basically you have a topic, you know about it, and you write about it, and you feel good about it.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm constantly thinking up new story ideas. The story ideas are based on things that are coming up on the calendar. The story ideas are based on stuff that maybe, like I said, Elon Musk wrote this tweet. It indicated that he really listens and monitors social media closely. So I wrote about it. So things happen in the world, and I write about them. And because they illustrate, again, to the entrepreneur ways that they could build their business better, grow their business better, lead better, be more productive, be happier, be healthier, market better, all those different types of things.
Do you think it's foolish to spend so much money on space exploration, or you think that's up to
I don't think we spend 1/100th of the amount of money we should spend on space exploration.
So you are for it?
Yeah, I'm for it, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Space exploration, sure, yeah.
I think we should Elon Musk get a lot of investors, but I don't know if the money could be better spent other ways. But it depends.
I think if there was less money spent on weapons to kill other people, then all that money could go towards
space
100 times over. Well, yeah, or feeding every person on the planet 100 times over.
Oh yeah. So that's what would you rather spend money on? kind of question.
Space shouldn't even be part of that conversation when it comes to saving money, or where, because they already gets 1/10 of our national budget. So why are you even talking about it?
No, but the
Not you, people. Why do they even want to try to say we shouldn't spend money on space? We're hardly spending anything on space. You wouldn't be saving much
No, I'm
money if you
talking
removed
about
it all.
Elon Musk. He does have investors.
Yes, yeah,
And they do spend money on space exploration.
good, yeah.
So their budget is probably bigger than the national budget.
It's not. No, the budget of SpaceX is not bigger than the national budget. As a matter of fact, the U.S. government, NASA, which receives like 1/10 of 1/10 of 1/10 of 1%
budget.
of our budget, gives billion-dollar contracts to SpaceX and to Boeing.
Really?
Oh yeah, yeah. I think that's how SpaceX has been able to survive. It has received government contracts.
Okay.
And yes, the funding from investors, but all of that.
Together.
What are you doing all that work for? You're doing all that work in order to get contracts from NASA to bring stuff into orbit.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's
So
taken him 15 years.
they all have the same objective.
Boeing is a competitor. I think it's not Boeing, but a company that Boeing is teamed with another company, and so that company has a name or something, and they're a competitor to SpaceX. And then Jeff Bezos has Blue Origin, but that's a little less further along than
Oh yeah, you
SpaceX.
should write about Jeff Bezos.
I've written about Jeff
You
Bezos a
have?
couple times.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's something else. I mean,
No, yeah, there's a lot of things that he did along the way that are good inspiration for entrepreneurs, because he started that company before there was even the .com bust, and he was one of the survivors of the .com bust.
selling books online.
Yeah.
I remember when the stock came out, people say, "Oh, we're not gonna risk our money in this. It's gonna go under real quick."
Yeah.
And they were wrong.
Most things did go under pretty quick, but like Pets.com, I remember that one.
It did go down.
Yeah. But Amazon survived, and so did Google, and so did several others.
Is that because of better management?
It's because of what they were generally. Yeah, there probably was some good management there, but it's because they were targeting something that people really did need.
Okay.
Yeah.
They like the convenience.
And that's why Facebook has been able to survive, even though it is under heat and pressure for privacy issues and things of that nature, because it still offers something that most people do want. Grandmothers are able to communicate with their grandsons very easily and see.
And they like it.
They like, yeah.
As if they didn't have Facebook, they couldn't even see their grandkids.
Yeah. I wouldn't be talking in the past. It was always on the phone, but now you get pictures, you get chat, you can talk, you can comment.
Sister overseas.
All of that, and Twitter is still surviving too, because it still meets
Some
a real
needs.
need. Yeah.
A need to communicate.
Although I don't think it meets the needs of very many people. I think it meets the needs of
The big guys.
It's very good for news. It's very good if you want to know, let's say you're following the San Francisco 49ers, the football team, right?
Then you follow them there.
Yeah, you follow them there, or you follow different journalists, maybe 10, 15 journalists who write about the 49ers all the time.
Okay.
And they always update on their Twitter, most of them, so you always know what's going on.
Yeah, so
You're really up on
they
what's
all have
happening.
a purpose.
That's what Twitter is really good for.
Okay.
It provides a service like that. And so it has some value, but
not monetarily monetized.
not all that much, because it's so fleeting and ephemeral, and
Nobody's gonna make money on Twitter.
very little, very
Yeah.
little. Yeah, very
That's
little.
true. That's true. So we didn't touch on LinkedIn, but
LinkedIn's a different thing altogether.
Yeah.
LinkedIn has a really good bit. It's hardly even really a social network. It tries to pretend like it's a social network. It is.
But the ads there don't work.
No. What works is paying $50 a month to have more intimate connections with easier to find jobs, easier to find people who are looking for jobs.
Yeah.
Recruiting,
Because I tried
recruiting.
putting an ad on LinkedIn, didn't get a single.
Yeah.
People don't read ads on LinkedIn.
People don't go to LinkedIn to really do much of anything at all, other than to find people to hire or to find companies that want to hire you.
Okay.
And that's
good.
That's
That's
what
good.
LinkedIn is making all of its money from. Really, is
Okay.
that connection, that interface.
Business connection.
People looking for jobs and jobs looking for people.
and salespeople looking for leads.
Yes, totally,
Okay.
totally, yes.
So anyway,
Which is a good business. It's a good business, but it's not a very good social network.
Okay, so I think we touch on a few things. I know we cannot touch on everything,
Yeah, yeah.
but
How long have we been going? Wow,
you
went
have
a
been
long.
going 54 minutes so far. So,
Wow,
yeah, we still have
that didn't feel like
1 minute, but I'm
1 minute.
gonna
Okay.
end it here.
I hope I didn't make you go too long.
No, you didn't. My show is 58 and a half.
That was great. That went by
Yeah.
so quick.
Yeah. So thank you so much for being here. It has been a pleasure talking to
Yes,
you.
you too,
I
Elaine.
wish I knew more about what you write, but I know it's a very
Well, the main
diversified.
thing is for entrepreneurs, that's who it's targeting. Entrepreneurs, how they can grow their business, how they can be better leaders, and how they can live better lives, be happier.
And they can find it on Inc. or Entrepreneur.
Yeah,
Okay.
John Boitnott is my name, Boitnott, and
Okay.
you can also find me on Twitter at jboitnott, JBoitnott.
Oh, sounds good. Sounds good. Thank
Yep.
you so much.
Thank you so much.